Okay. Once again, now, did you have to click yes again to accept recording or no?
No, it did it from the last time.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we think we got this right.
Yeah.
We'll get comfy. We're all set up now. Got microphone going. We know we're not going to YouTube yet with live, but we'll get there. We'll get there one day. We'll get there. I think there's got to be a way. I think there's got to be a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna chat again about our lovely energies that are coming in. And it's, to me, once again, it's been a heavy week of emotions and energies coming in. And I'm kind of just holding on again to the seat of my pants to see what happens this week, because the February 8th and 9th is supposed to be some transformation coming through. So I still don't know what that means yet, of energy or such, or what's going to happen. Different theories going on. And
yeah, I'm curious too. Actually, I saw something somebody sent me that there's supposed to be some big lawsuit filed against the DoD and somebody else because they have information about these vaccines and the things that are being caused. And they said that the time frame was right around that time frame. So I'm curious if that's
something's going to open up completely at that time.
yeah, because I guess the video I was watching, the lawyer was saying, and this is all, whatever they have, but
I know theories.
the VA, for the United States military is like, or it's not just the VA, it's also the I forget what they're called. But anyway, it's the DoD tracks all the military personnel. They take serious track of their records and everything else. In case something happens, they want to know so it doesn't spread to more whatever. So they have serious record keeping, and they've seen, don't quote me on the numbers here, but it was thousands of % spikes in like myocarditis, blood pressure. And these are all healthy active duty soldiers, and like they have the previous 5 years combined, from 2020 to 2015, I think it was. And they have, that data is exactly all pretty similar, and then it spikes like, I want to say it was like 4,000% on some of them, and like so. Maybe correlation. Can't say for sure.
I know.
But
One other, I know there's theories that energy is going to be coming through within our cosmos, opening up for other things. Another thing is that there's going to be blackouts. But it's like, once again,
have you heard of this 3 days of dark? I've been hearing about this 3 days of darkness thing for, I don't know, at least
I've heard it for
like 2 years.
3 years now. So yes. So once again, it's like,
but I don't know what that means. Some people think it means that there's going to be like a media blackout. Some people means literally the whole earth is going to be dark for 3 days. Some people think that the power is going to go out. I know.
Let's see if anything comes through with the channeling. I remember doing some channeling with Peter last year, and stuff came out more at that time, like a year ago, about being prepared, stocking up food and such. But all those more dire predictions have not come to par, and the messages came through that we've switched our timelines. It's not going to happen. It's like, yay. But once again,
that
still don't know.
I always question though, like and that's why I've went from watching a lot of channelers to pretty much nobody anymore. Sometimes I watch, hear a couple people that I think are legit, but and I know that especially the people that seem to do a lot of the future predictions, and I know how difficult, it is to predict the future, especially at this point in time. But there's just so much of it was like, man, it seems like these people are trying to sell, food for, or whatever that is, the survival food kits, or they always have some kind of like underlying theme, to their, and it's always like doom and gloom and this and it's like, man, I don't know. I know that there's people who don't fully grasp channeling and how to protect themselves, and so I don't know how people are doing stuff, and it makes me weary when I hear all those predictions all the time that are all doom and gloom, and then I'm like, who are you channeling?
I know
the people that I channeled say that they don't predict it doom because they don't want to spread fear. So it's like, so who are you getting information from?
I know, and I question that too. Now, once again, more positive channeler is Daniel Scranton, and he just like totally high vibrations, and I love that, and that keeps my energy up. And like he shares emails out with his channel messages, or on YouTube. Sometimes I just read them, but it's a nice spark at midday. You need to pick me up, and it's great higher vibrational energy, and that's what we all need So you're right, we should not be these low vibes, these other theories that our changes are coming, and what we'll be seeing and witnessing. I always want to keep my vibrations high, and for our greatest and highest good and happiness and higher vibrational energies. But it's hard. There's people with the theories out there, so it's like do doom and gloom. But we've been told before, like the messages have come through where it's going to be like last year. It could have been blackouts and it could have been shortage of food, but it didn't. It didn't happen. And in my eyes, we still don't have a shortage of food. I don't see it, but maybe some cities do, but I don't see it yet. Even with
I would say there's a shortage
convoy.
compared to the normal everyday flow. I mean, when you go to the grocery store and there's, usually the whole meat section is filled, and you go there and there's one or two, that I would, if you're considering that a shortage, I would say people aren't starving. I wouldn't say it's that severe of a food shortage, but there's definitely not the normal stock and supply that there is pre all this mania that's going on.
Georgetown, there is like everything is like totally fine.
Well, it's different stores
cereal boxes. That's what's low.
Well, and it's different stores are different things. I've noticed like some stores, their meat supply is totally fine. And other stores like Walmart, I noticed we were there the other day and their meat section was decimated. Like there was nothing there. But you go to like the other stores and they're totally fine. So I don't know if it's just a supply chain for individual stores. And it's like individual items seem to not make it to certain stores, but they're making it to others. So I don't know where it doesn't at all.
No, and
a lot of it feels like that's manufactured too.
I know I was going to say that just popped into my head just when you said that is manufactured. It's to make it look that way, and that's what has been channeled as well. A theory that things are manufactured, like it's supposed to be like they want us to appear this way, but it's really not.
I totally think that's what, because my wife made a good point the other day. She was like, how is there these food shortages, but all of the Valentine's Day stuff made it into stock? Like, how does that work? So if there's supply shortages, how are these things making it through? But like, it doesn't make sense.
And that's
of course the things that are going to make money on those holidays got to make it through. So
I love that. Great point. And that's what people have to pay attention to. It is. And I remember when Walmart, when they had closed everything just to the essentials, the chocolates were all in the open side with the essentials. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah.
You don't want to start World War
your clothes and your underwear are not essential, but your chocolate's essential. It's like, wait a minute, anybody not seeing this?
Well, hello? I don't know. I'm gonna have to agree with chocolate being essential. I've seen how people get without their chocolate, so that might have saved more chaos.
Yes, I agree, but it's not like you once again, we know the theory. We look around, pay attention, what's going on here.
It's all manufactured.
This can make it through, but
I just posted a thing on Facebook the other day. It's the 13, it's rules for radicals. It's from Saul Alinsky. He was one of the communist Marxists. He wrote about it, and I don't know if he was, I believe he was a part of it and everything, but anyways, and it talks about the 13 steps that they take, and it's every single thing that's absolutely going on right now. And it's like, and food shortages and those sort of things are part of it.
Yeah, it's the list, which actually I would look for that one or send it to me so I can see that one. I don't know if I saw that one.
I think in food shortage, I don't know. I've looked at so many different things. I might be conflating two different, but I know that all the steps that they're going through. I know the Joe Rogan thing was step number 13, the whole thing that's going on with him and all the other people that get canceled. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's
people
don't realize that stuff, and like the people, the self-proclaimed communists haven't even read communist literature and don't even see what's happening right before their own eyes. They just hear this utopian ideal society that they think it is and get roped in. But that's a whole other conversation.
I know it is, like the whole whatever's going on with the what's coming up in our world, and I take it day by day, like what's going on with the trio thing and this. Like, I don't like to focus on the theory that we're turning into a communism. The bigwigs are taking over and they want us one new world. I try not to sit in that negative area where if it's going to be all one open world, it's going to be free world. And we all have to keep our minds on that, not be dragged into the negativity where people are worried about, you're going to have your rights taken away, you're going to be controlled, but like, be quiet. No, be quiet. Don't you resonate that into the vibrations so we don't bring that into our future. So
Yeah.
that's what I wish more people would just do. Like, don't focus on that, because you
Yeah.
want to bring that into your future, you will. And I don't want that in my future. So
Yeah.
focus on the positive.
Well, my goal more is the
Thank you.
illumination so that people understand what's happening so that they can be aware when they're being played and being used in these tactics, because I mean they're called useful idiots for a reason, and they just perpetuate and regurgitate the news and the media and everything else and don't even realize that they're being used to do that thing
And
specifically.
that's what they're manifesting. And that's the thing right now. I said a thought come in where was dang, it was good. But yeah, that's the thing. People are doing that. And what I have to share, this popped into my head again. It just soft disclosure is coming, and it's been going on for a while. And once again,
It's been going on for a
yeah,
while.
and it's really exciting where I share something comes up, I have to share it. I love ancient aliens, and people might have different concepts of beliefs of where even they're coming from, but regardless of where they're coming from, the allowance of the information has been streamlining through these guys for years. And this past year has been talking about, especially the last month, the top 10 ancient sites, the top 10 sacred sites underground, the top 10 mysteries of aliens, whatever. The top 10 of everything has been coming out. And like the other night I saw the one, it was called The World on Alert, where they're just admitting that, yeah, the Pentagon and everybody is admitting there's UAPs now. It's not UFOs, it's UAPs now. Unidentified aerial phenomenon or whatever, I think. Yeah. So it's really interesting how they're shooting, and they're having conversations about Japan, where Japan would be hiding all this stuff or denying that UFOs even existed. But now they're saying, oh yeah, Japan is putting out they're having this testing done, and there are these programs put together to monitor these UAP now. And every country now apparently is talking about it, and they're doing it now where they all denied it before. So it's like all the stuff. And I even love the work that Stephen Greer does as well. Just all the other, like Graham, what's his name? Graham
Hancock.
Yes, I think that's him. Richard Dolan and Paul Hellyer, who passed away last year. Like all these works of these guys. And even like Greg Braden and they all will talk about this as well, in all different facets that come from different views, but it's all being talked about. So I call it soft disclosure, where we're all being led up, and I believe it's planned this way. They're letting the government saying, okay, we're letting them do the hard work, so they're not, so
movies play their part and stuff like that too.
Yeah. So when it comes to the fact, they're gonna say, of course, the people are gonna say, well, why did you lie to us? And say, well, we thought it was your best. They're gonna make it all, try to make it a believable scenario when it all comes out. So now I let the soft disclosures happening. So I do believe it's gonna, even they were saying something is happening quickly, and I keep feeling that the urgency, something is gonna happen quickly.
So when you get that urgent or that feeling, I don't know why, but I can't shake the feeling that I feel like a lot of people are gonna die.
I'm trying not to go there yet, Joe, because that's the part, that's the doom and gloom side I'm trying to stay away from. But it could be, I've had many theories. That could be one theory. The many theories is that, we have a theory that years ago I heard that the event happens, is going to be this rainbow cloud that comes across us. And there's going to be a time when the energy is going to be so strong that we're going to need to sit down or lie down. And once again, there's a theory that some people are going to make it, some people aren't going to make it. Some people move to 5D, some people will fall away and live out the rest of their lives in 3D, whether here or an old Earth or a new Earth, I don't like another 3D Earth. Others, it's like that's not going to happen in our lifetime. That's one thing. And even the higher vibrational frequencies of raising our vibration, that we're going to be living in those higher vibrations, that's coming soon, or it could be coming later. We could be, there's just so many theories out there. The event, the solar flash, the pole shift, is it Nibiru coming into our solar system that's pulling on our Earth, is going to cause another pole shift, and which is essence caused the biblical flood, because that's what happened when the Anunnaki came to Earth back in the day. Whenever this is another theory again, that when Nibiru is coming into us every 3,600 years, it comes into our it's part of our solar system, but it's coming around Earth. It's going to pull and tug with the gravitational pulls. We could go flip, and then that's going to cause another deluge. But I try not to think that, I mean, potential, but once again, we have so many other higher vibrational things to rise our vibrations up to. So that's the idea. How do we stay in that vibration?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel, I probably shouldn't say I don't feel bad about it. I feel like it's just part of the process. So I don't like, it doesn't lower my vibration. I'm just curious why I get that kind of sense that, I don't know, maybe it's, I mean, I hope not. Obviously, I don't want, that to happen, but I feel maybe it's just, I feel something big is coming, or I don't know, maybe, hopefully it's people just standing up and figuring this whole thing out and
I know that's the
getting
thing.
this
We
over
are,
with.
something big is happening. We are in these
Yeah.
times now for sure. Like the message last week we chatted, we were like, it felt like we're 1/3 into this and we're moving forward. So we're
Oh, yeah,
almost
yeah.
halfway into it and then it's going to be through type thing.
Yeah.
So
I heard something today, and I don't know if it's true, and I was curious because you're up in what part of Canada are you in?
on like I'm in Georgetown, but it's right by, it's close to Toronto, very close to
Okay, because I
Toronto.
heard, I think it was Alberta lifted their restrictions. Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah, that's I heard on a video like earlier today that Alberta has lifted the mandates and the restrictions.
So that was in direct correlation to the truckers
I
thing?
believe so. Yeah.
That's cool.
Like so so much is happening now. And once again, going back to these changes, is this going to be, and I'm once again, I'm proud of Canada, and I want to stay in this positive vibe to bring through whether systems are going to collapse and like be away from this, the banking system. Is so much that's going to still happen. um but it's how do we stay in these high vibes as well while we're going through this. It's gonna, like, things are happening, and we know that they're going to have to change, but we just don't know to what degree and how soon. Like I
Well,
remember,
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say that's kind of why I feel like that awareness thing where, some things are kind of dark and, whatever, but I think when people are aware of things, it makes things a little bit easier to kind of be like, okay, because if you look at that consciousness chart and they said that we were right, I forget which one we were in, but
well,
the next
human,
stage was anger. And I can totally see why when people start to understand all the things and what's been going on behind the scenes and all of that stuff, it's going to make a lot of people really mad,
I
especially
know.
really mad that they were paying taxes to fund these things. And so I can definitely see how that's the next phase of consciousness that we're heading towards.
Well, it's up to us to
So
keep to help people and educate them and let them know that we must not stay in this vibration. We need to, there's
right.
things. The one thing I keep going to in my
Precisely.
head is one of work of Allison Coach. She's a hypnotist, and she would bring people through. And I had a session with her where through her sessions you're reaching your higher self and future self through, and the changes for 5D after this shift and event has happened. And this is when we talk about whether it's a solar flash or like a rainbow cloud coming in of energy that's going to knock us off our ass type thing. And this is going to be the catalyst to move us into 5D Earth. But the descriptions of being in 5D Earth is absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
I felt and witnessed and was able to see in my mind's eye what it felt like to be in 5D. But I felt like every time I've done a different session, though, it feels like I'm coming at it from a view of a male's perspective. So it could be a different life. I don't know for sure. It's like, dang, if we're going to go through this shit, I want to witness this cool stuff. But once again, I won't know until it happens, but it's beautiful, beautiful. The beautiful green grass are our higher self connections, our telepathy. We're all one. We're all working in unity, and we're back working with Mother Earth. As if the veil is going to be completely lifted, and we're all going to remember our true selves, who we really are, and what our purpose is here on Earth. And it's going to go back to more like that 5D Earth was less technology. So we're going to be living off the land again. So
the thing that I makes me think of is one, if there's the 3 and the 5D Earth that we're going towards, is there a 6D Earth in the future, a 7D, all the way up? And
yeah, I think this we talked about last week. I was seeing the higher, like I remember I was going 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, 9D, 10D,
that's
11.
all Earth, or is that just the dimension in general? Because there's a lot more than Earth.
It felt like us going through the dimensional shifts in this plane we're in now here, like going up and up. And then the people that are in the higher dimensionals, whenever this thing aligns and happens, and I've read this before as well too, so I don't know if this is just popping into my ego or not, but it's like, I'm imagining the shifts going up. Every evolutionary shift will be upshift upward. And there could be a chance that when the portal is open, other beings could be coming, shifting down. I don't know this. There are many theories out there.
Hmm.
There's so many theories.
Yeah, because I'm curious. One, I'm assuming that all of them would still exist at the same time.
Mhm.
So there's still going to be the 3D Earth and the 5D Earth, but they'll all be resonating in different frequencies. It won't be actually, because so that's kind of what I've channeled. It won't be different Earths. They'll all be the same Earth, but just different radio stations essentially. So
I
it's tuning into.
Yes,
Okay,
that's the idea is as well. The energy frequency is going up. Yeah.
because I also get the feeling, and I don't know, like it's not going to be, I mean, yeah, we're going to get the shift to 5D, but it's not like we're going to be at the, like there's still a gradual
Climb, I guess.
yeah, through
Yeah.
5D to like the peak of what 5D is. It's not just like we're there and it's everything 5D is, like there's a progression through that as well, like the through the octaves or whatever they say.
That's what I've heard, going like we've been going through 4D, you're going to reach 5D, and it's like a slow progression. And yeah,
Okay, so we're getting
and
similar,
some,
because that
some of
was
us
one
are going
thing.
to feel the higher 5Ds quicker than some of us would.
I'd watched some other things with some other people, and they were talking about like the 20th dimension and going on and on about these other dimensions and stuff. And so I asked in one of the channeling sessions, and they basically just said perspective was the biggest thing, that every, Oriya is 12th dimension. And they said, maybe someone in the third dimension has a different idea of how they're broken down, or, the way that they could be, separated through the different octaves, or however you want to look at it. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. But I'm curious if there's because it seems like you and I have the same idea of how the dimensions work and the progression and sort of thing. But then when I heard other people talk about it, and I was like, that sounds totally alien to me as far as the way I understand it so far. Is my understanding, at least what I've channeled, is that there's 13 dimensions. The 13th dimension is basically the creator realm. And that's where you go create once you get through there, you go create your own universe and whatever. Is that the same information?
I think so. 12 or 13, because I remember seeing even a picture done by someone else, another channel who's an artist, and it was the same idea, showing all those worlds of Earth and all the different dimensions there is, and how we go through them all. And then her theory was that she channels that we start back again. So it's almost like the fulfilling that, going through and then starting with creation all over again.
Yeah.
1D, 2D, 3D, 4. Yeah, this is Earth, what Earth will continue doing.
It makes sense, because when I was actually on a mushroom trip I did
I still have to try that stuff.
Yeah, I did the heroic dose, where you like totally, like I didn't even know who I was or what it was going on. Like I had no idea. My ego was completely gone. Like I had total out of body experience. But it was very cool. Looking back, it wasn't cool at the time.
Oh, I know,
It was
exactly.
kind of terrifying. But in that process, they kind of showed me how the universe is just like a flower. Like it explodes and it expands to its critical mass, and then it collapses back in on itself, and then it explodes again, and just this continuous process of expanding and contracting forever, I guess. And so it was kind of cool to like what you're saying, that it's probably expanding out to that 13th and then collapsing back down and doing it again in a different set of parameters and different whatever.
Yeah, that keeps coming through, and it's something like that as well. And it's oh, I forget what was going to say. Something came through there. Yeah, gone now. Came went.
They're slippery.
Yeah, they are the slippery slopes going on. But yeah, just imagining all that. And again, there's so many theories out there. And of course, I think when we die, we'll understand a lot more. I still remember having a session with one of my friend mediums, and I asked them to act, like I said, we were chatting with my mom. It's like, well, apparently we have part of our essence still in the spirit world. Okay.
Mhm.
And I've read that with Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, which is it here? No, it's not. I have all his books, Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls, and Wisdom of Souls. And he takes people into hypnosis, and he takes people through, past lives, other lives, lives between lives, when the soul identifies being back in the spirit world, meeting up with their soul family again, and understanding within an instant why that person, John, was her husband. he was in the spirit world, but he also was Peter in the past life, but then they switched roles in other lives, and it comes within an instant. This is all knowing in the spirit world. But anyways, go back to the thought, but my and past lives and why you're all together and all that stuff. But I in that session with my friend, it's like, Mom, can you see my essence that's left of me in the spirit world? And the answer was no, it's in a different area. So it's like, what? So this is, to me, it's the more and more I think about this, is that this, although it's higher dimensional, it's supposed to, I think it, like I've heard seventh dimension is the spirit world, but who knows? It's, I mean, theories again.
Yeah, I've heard it was beyond the 10th, I think. The 10th through the 12th was spirit, but I don't know.
I
Or
know.
completely, or there's like an option beyond the 8th where you could be either, and then beyond the 10th, I believe it's only etheric. So take
That's the
whatever.
thing, etheric, like whether, like what stage of energy, vibrate, physicality are we? Where there's still some physicality in the spirit world, more than I would imagine when they describe things, how when this, like their identity of being in the spirit world, you're still like the purpose of so much purpose in being in there, and we're still working and doing so much.
Yeah.
So
I think it's all evolution of the soul constantly.
yeah,
And there's, that's why I question when, people say, or like he said, when we go to the spirit world that we know everything. I think we know more, but I feel like I don't
not
think we
everything.
ever know everything. I think that's kind of the point.
Our higher self knows more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If our higher self is higher than the spirit world, like it's looking down, I think, like not looking, you know what I mean by that phrase.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, because the higher self is aware of so much, and like lets little bits in and informs us within our consciousness of what's going on.
Well, this is what I mean by that, and this is just my interpretation, so I don't know for sure. But if the creator is this whole thing,
Blah.
this
Yeah.
my whole hand is the creator, and this is a soul, and this is a soul, all their different souls. This soul is going to understand as much as it can from its perspective, and this one, but this whole thing is going to understand everything.
Yes, I love that analogy. And then this is Joe, and this is Melissa.
Right.
So Joe comes into this lifetime, and he understands this, and then this, but then we've had 20 other lifetimes. So this is millions of lifetimes, all in this blob of creation,
so they're going to have that millions of lifetimes worth of information, but only the actual creator, which we are, would have all of the information. So I feel like that's, and that's just me.
Something recently came in about the Akashic records. It had to fly. So that's something really interesting. I read about that it's everything is, it's laid out. Our memories are laid out. Was it a Greg Braden thing about memories and thoughts, where we hold our cells hold on to emotions, but the memories are like of traumas, our cells hold on to that, but the memories are all here in the field. And even like the quantum field, that's everything is there, which are the Akashic records, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, every thought that we all have is in action, is processed and written in this, like per se, accessed energetically in the Akashic records. It's all stored and recorded.
Yeah. So we have all the potential to access all the information, but I would think, going back to that metaphor, we all send our information back to the Akashic records, and yeah, sure, we could go in there and look, but we don't have that readily available necessarily information, if that makes sense. So we still have our perspective of information that we've gathered through our evolution as a soul, but we may not have all of the information. We could access it, but it's not necessarily. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yes. And even one other cool thing is that in how our brain sends these frequencies and energies, the sulcuses, I can't remember, sulcuses in our brains, the gyruses, like they're almost like it's where the energy comes in, and the information, and it broadcasts it out to where it needs to go.
Yeah,
that's what our brain is. It's sort of a receiver, but it's a broadcast, like it's sending out those signals and frequencies where they need to go within our body. It's not like our brain is in control of our whole life. It's more energy, our heart, and what comes in, energy, life force comes in. It's this just kind of helps in our medulla oblongum, tells where things to go in our body, the energy and
Like
such.
those old ladies back in the day that used to plug in the phone connectors, connecting long distance calls,
Yeah.
putting it all in the right direction. Yeah, I had a similar thought because I feel like intelligence and genius, more specifically, as people would say, I kind of think that is like being able to tap into that collective unconscious, and all those thoughts and ideas are out there swirling around, and certain people have access to tap into it, and we just call them genius and think that it's all their brain doing all that. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that anybody potentially could tap into that and have
Exactly.
those same.
I believe Nikola Tesla did that. A lot of
Yeah,
the, and what I heard over and over again as well is there's different times going on in the world when such information had been broadcasted out, which and received from people who are end up channeling it in.
yeah,
So we could be Canada, you could be in the States, someone over in Turkey, someone over in England, someone in Germany, and someone in Australia. They're all open at that time. They're all bringing in this information
yeah.
at the same time. And it's who's
That makes
listening at the
sense.
time and who's going to document this down and take notes to build on these creations that have been channeled through. And
That makes,
that's fantastic. And I know if we even took more time and channeled, we could, like, if we did it every day, we could bring even through more, I guess, technological engineering stuff if we wish to do that.
yeah, yeah. They've shown me like how to have, I guess, sort of unlimited power. That, I mean, it's just magnets that using alternating magnets, because the opposites, or the same sides repel each other, so you put them in a certain status and it makes them spin, and then it creates that energetic field, and then it'll be basically constant forever.
Oh, that's about energy going. Yeah, it made me just think of the iron rod with the copper coils. Is that what how you plug
Yeah,
energy and then the energy making? It's we just had a flash of a new show I'm watching, Naomi. And I don't watch a lot of TV, but any sci-fi or superhero Marvel, I love it. It's Naomi. It's about a girl. She's a teenager, and she realizes things are changing. Things are happening to her. She loves Superman, and she's part of this leader of the Superman fan club. And something happens in the show, and there's a scene where they think it's a stunt, but a Superman is flying, and they think someone has set it up as a stunt downtown. And then as things go on, but she ends up getting a weird headache, weird feeling. She collapses and faints and passes out. And it happened a couple times to her. And she realized, oh, something's different. And then she realized she takes her glasses off, she can see from far away. And then she ends up meeting up with another fella who's, we find out he's a ET, he's an alien from another planet, and he's got wings, and he's got this extrasensory power and strong and strength, and so now she's realized, now when she's working her magic and power, she can have the energy you just described to push out and repel and move things. And it's showing how she's slowly starting to learn these abilities. And
I
she's
think
opening
trying to
things
tell
and
us stuff.
moving. Yes. So, and I have a friend, Cynthia, and she said she's practiced that before, moving paper on a toothpick. I want to practice that now. I haven't done it yet. It's like we all can do this. We all were just, born into a world that didn't want to tell us we could do this. We had to do everything else as in the system and be led as a slave, as opposed to growing up knowing that this is actually who we truly are. And
Yeah,
we need to practice. We should be practicing, and we have full potential of so much more.
that's funny you brought that up, because I've been super interested in magic lately, discovering, I look at it more as what is the potential of the human capacity, is more the way I like to
Me
look at it.
too.
And magic is just science unexplained, and I've heard it said a couple other different ways too, similarly. But so I'm curious, like, how far that goes, and for the similar reasons. There's a few. I'm not into the Marvel movies or anything like that either, but for whatever
I
reason,
love them
it
all.
started. I never really was, and I'm not really into the action movies. I feel like once you've seen one, you've seen all of them. They do the same things, and it's like, all right, I get it. But I got a message that said, there's people who watch those movies for the action, and there's people who pick up the underlying theme and
Yes.
the messages that they're trying to get to you. I was
Yep.
like, okay, I'll watch them. So we started watching them in chronological or whatever it is on
Me
Disney. They
too.
have the whole
Yep.
trilogy.
Well, I did watch them
And
years ago, but yeah, I loved it. I caught up.
so catching the underlying themes of, the figuring out your powers and going through this shift in the universe and all this stuff that's kind of going on around us, and they're kind of laying out I don't know how much of it is true, obviously, but just the underlying
Stories of
themes that are.
Thor and Odin, and even with names that are close but a bit different and shifted, it's all like in their stories of Zeus, they're all talked about.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm curious,
In our
like how much
past,
of that
they
is legit? Is
existed on
there
Earth.
really another realm like that
It
has
is. And
these?
I think the strong message from Thor, first of all, with Thor himself, is that are you going to be responsible enough, king, to do the right thing for the people? Being
Right.
it's called honorable, knowing what to do the right thing, as opposed to Loki was so self-centered and wanted to control power, right?
Right.
So the idea that Thor could do the right thing to help not just humanity but for his own world, and then moving that forward with his integrity, that it's all for the greater good of what his actions partake in. And and I just love that. But that's with Thor. And just think of all the other worlds, is that knowing that there are other worldly beings that are honorable and know that there's certain reasons they need to take care of their world, our world, and why certain things shouldn't be messed with. Because we know, I think, even though I've humanity, there's been nuclear war going on before our time. That's been Atlanteans and whatever, or even Nibiru, like Anunnaki times. Like there's been nuclear wars, weapons being set off on Earth before, and so many things in our future now, when we're back in our past, like Admiral Byrd. Have I given you the Admiral Byrd story?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's the 40s or 50s. I could be wrong with the timeline, but he's in, I guess he's the military guy type thing with the United States of America. And a few things, he flies over I don't know, the North Pole or South Pole, and he sees there's an opening. And the story is that he was pulled in with his ship into the inner Earth and spoke with the Agarthians, their inner Earth beings, and they're taller, they're divine beings, and they're warning, stop with your antics. We don't want nuclear war. Don't destroy Mother Earth. This is a warning. Please go back and tell everybody that. Please listen. And that's huge out there. I think Admiral Byrd's son released his memoirs or his notes after he died, because he couldn't speak about it when he was alive. So you can go out. I've got it, one of his books, Admiral Byrd. Go look at his.
I've heard of that. I don't know if it was that story, but I've heard similar.
Antarctic journey as well, and it has to do with going there when Hitler was there, investigating UFOs, fighting going on with UFOs, and the Antarctica secret base of the Germans, whatever. But there's so much in our past that has already come out, that like this has already happened on our Earth. And warnings, don't do this, and that keeps coming up. The warnings for us don't, and I believe there will never be another nuclear war. The beings of light won't let it happen. And people are looking at me, it's like, how'd you know that? Well, that's one thing I know, I can feel in my heart. They won't let it happen again because of what's happened before.
I've heard the only thing that they won't allow to happen is basically that, us eliminated, because that would lead to the elimination of humanity, essentially. So,
and it has to do with the universe, and I don't quite know how, but it would shift. It would mess all things up. So something, and we keep hearing that something really cool is happening. And one cool thing that Greg Braden shared in his retreat is that over whether it's Israel or out there in the Middle East, there's this building, and within binary codes, all our names are written on that. Whoever's on Earth this time, our names are already written on there. And the story is, he's been there. He was able to point to his own name, find his own name. What his name? Barack Obama was able to go there and find his name. So apparently all our names alive on this earth at this time is already known and written down. And there's this, I think if there was to be some incident, whether nuclear war or some attack of some sort, it's built in an area where it's going to have an enclosure and go down and be covered, where it's like it's nuclear war proof. It won't get damaged for some reason. It's a history of some sort with all our names on it. And I want to go there and see it. Like, whoa,
yeah, that's
just
cool.
To blow my mind more. Like, how can we blow our minds today, right?
Yeah, right. That's interesting. I haven't heard that. That's yeah, I definitely agree though. I've heard of them finding like ancient sites where there was like nuclear explosions that they say are 10,000 plus years old and stuff like that. And my personal, and this is just me, and I don't know, I feel like human history goes back like millions of years.
Oh, it does.
And I think that it's just been erased, and only so much can survive over millions of years of, the earth changing and all that stuff
That's
too.
the
So.
thing. It's over there. The book of Enki. I've just started reading it, but it's the Lost Book of Enki for Zachariah Stitchin. It's the history of when Anunnaki came, whether it was 400,000 years ago it starts, I can't remember. When Anunnaki came to Earth, and literally the creation story of how we came to be. This is I mean, years ago I heard a Palladian story. All humans came from the Palladians. That's or the Lyrans. They created humanity. They created the Lyrans, the cat people, and the cat people created like humans, the first humans, whatever. But then
I've
the
heard
story
that
goes
story.
on as the Anunnaki created us from another form of humans, in adding their essence to and then like DNA changes, and that essence we're here, who we are now. But the whole history of the Anunnaki coming to Earth, how they decided they had to come to Earth to find gold to protect their atmosphere, and then they decided to come to Earth and do that. And then as the Anunnakis were toiling the land to the gold, it was found it exhausting, so they wanted to build a race to help with this. But it went through back to the people, the kings of the country of their planet. They had to make it like judges to decide, is it ethical to do this or not? Like, it was a big process. It wasn't just let's do it because we're going to do it. They had to choose. It's like a creation thing, where is the all of creation going to allow this to happen? Because there was already beings here, they could do it. If there wasn't other beings on Earth, they couldn't have created another being. But they realized they had to, they asked the male essence to, they tried to do with the female older versions of us, but they inserting it into the womb, their egg and sperm type thing, taking the egg out of the old, the older human form, and then the Anunnaki essence, and mixing it and putting it back in the first earthling. But it didn't take, so they had to put the essence back in the Anunnaki woman, and then apparently they were able to create this new form of being. But the story goes, the first one was Adamu, I guess, whatever. So it goes how it worked, and then 7 other healers signed up, said, okay, I'll let that go in my womb, I'll grow a new being for you. And then as time went on, they kept going and going, and they realized they weren't able to procreate. So it was they finally switched the DNA. This is what the book of Enki, is it Enki over there? Yeah, the Lost Book of Enki states that they took DNA from Adam's, or some, yeah, a rib of, oh, that's right, there was Adapta and Titi. Apparently Adam and Eve are Adapta and Titi in the Anunnaki story there, and they take DNA from Enki's rib to put it into Adapta's DNA. So it's a DNA of some sort upgrade, is to allow them to procreate. That's the story of them being eaten. They were tempted by an apple, and after an apple, they eat the apple. They were bear witness to, oh my God, I can see myself naked. But I think that's where DNA was upgraded, where they could actually procreate. So then they didn't have to keep doing it themselves. Like, they could just allow procreation to take over. So that's one of the cool theories of.
I've heard that same theory. I've heard that, and then the Pleiadians and other races came and mixed their genes with other hominids that were native to Earth, and kind of made their own species, and that's why we have the different races and that sort of thing.
I know, that's the thing. I want to know. I want to bear witness to it. I want to know. There's something I actually have on my computer. I'll share it with you one day. Well, I can send it to you, but I found it over the holidays. It's a whole listing of the timeline with the Anunnaki and when it began, and every person from Nibiru, when they have given a name, it has a beautiful meaning, like the wonders of the water, whatever. Every name has a beautiful meaning and name, and it's a whole history of when they came, how the evolution happened on Earth, and even the wars that happened between them, because of course certain Anunnaki wanted power. Like, there's a story of Marduk, he wanted extra power to take over this land, and he wanted to control it, and there was wars over that, and there might have been nuclear weapons going on that because of that control. But the story goes, as time went on and on and on, one of the brothers wanted humanity to know they're divine, like, you came from us and your part divine is in you, you are a divine. But the other brother said, no, screw that, they don't need to know their divineness, they don't need to know. This really excites me when I hear stories of Egypt coming up, where there was that Enoch, is one of them who went to Egypt, and like the story could be mixed in with the Osiris stories and other stories of other beings that were from Egypt, and how they were teachers then of the ancient ways. That's how we got a lot of our ancient stories and healing, and even somewhere over the Hindis, like all they're saying they're gods, but they're all our divine beings of light that came down and taught humanity the divine ways. And this, I love this. So that's so many of us, all these beings existed. They're all part of our history. But once
Yeah, I've
again,
got
we
the
are
same
made
impression.
to separate and one against the other. You know, they don't tell them the lie, tell them the truth, tell them the lie, tell them the truth. And it's a war and a battle that's still going on today. But I think once again, I think this fine line is being erased now. Like they can't keep this lie up any longer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I tend to think the same way, and I think the individual stories, why, Norse, mythology has, Odin and those sort of beings, because they were the ones who were supposed to look over, that was their, seed essentially. And then other beings had other gods that, were the ones who were tasked with looking over their, that was their seeding or whatever in the different parts of the earth. And they all had their own different races that were from different galaxies or star systems. Because one thing I had heard too was that Earth was supposed to be sort of the galactic experiment, similar to the United States, the melting pot of the universe sort of thing, where all
yeah,
the different races would come and try to learn to coexist. And then I guess, the United States would kind of be the microcosm of that here on Earth. But that's one of the things I had heard. It was supposed to be a and who knows the timelines or what the original reason. I've heard a bunch of different reasons how humanity originally got here, the different timelines and
that's
why, and it's different things. So who knows what they truly are, but it's all seems to be similar.
I will send you that. It's cool just for to reading sake.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
but
interesting to.
it's interesting though when you were saying how we had times of Odin and times of Zeus, and it's like, well, where did these civilizations go? This is when I think to this is where the ascension thought comes through. Did they all just ascend and go to a different dimension at a certain time? That's my one question, because the story of the Anunnaki is that every 36, but whether this coincides and joins in together is the same theory, I don't know, but it very well could be. Every 3,600 years, like we're spinning, we got the Earth, the Sun, Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury. And then apparently Nibiru is supposed to be coming from way down here, and it's supposed to be coming closer and closer. And that's when the tugging is supposed to shift the planet, the gravitational pull, and it can cause, in the biblical days, it was called the deluge.
Yeah,
But it's like earthquakes, shaking, water floods, because the gravitational pull is too much. And this is happening. And in the book of Enoch, Enki, the mirror knows this happens every 3,600 years. And they know the farther the humans they get away from Nibiru, the Anunnaki age way quicker. But when they're on Nibiru, they don't age. Then there's this elixir they get to drink that keeps them young. It's really cool. But anyways, so it makes me think of this pattern of every 3,600 years. If Earth is going through these pole shifts, these shifts, whatever, is that the time when civilizations are wiped out, and then whoever's left over starts again, just like the story of Noah's Ark? Like that's in the book of Enki, where they knew every 3,600 years it was happening, and they knew that the atmosphere that they were repairing with all this gold was getting even more damaged every time it got closer to Earth. It's like, man, all this hard work, and look, it's going to get wrecked again. But it sounds like from this story that I read is that they knew it was happening, but they were not going to tell the Earthlings on Earth that it was too. They couldn't save them all. So a lot of the Anunnaki went back on their ships, but some of them stayed. And it sounds like Enoch is the father of Noah, and that Noah's got like two real cool names that he goes by. I'm gonna have to dig them out so I can say what they are. And it sounds like he's not supposed to tell Noah, his son, but what's the word? He speaks it through the hut, hoping that I don't know if it was written or spoken, that hoping that Noah would hear of the ways of how to make an ark by this specific time to help save this amount of seeds and people and in beings. So it was Noah's family because it was Enoch's son. So he wanted his son to survive on Earth. So
so
that
I
was the
got the same
story of
message the other day.
the flood.
I got a very similar message about Noah the other day. I was like just randomly doing yoga, and it's funny that you brought this up, but they said the same thing, that he was getting basically channelings or, messages similar to how we do, whatever, however he understood it. And about that things were going to be changing, that there was potential for a big flood. And it wasn't to gather all of the two of every animal from across the world. It was basically his homestead and his farm and the people around him that he could save, and they were trying to get as many as they could and as much to livestock to prevail once the floods were over. It wasn't to try
Yes.
to preserve two by two and all that
I
bullshit.
think one thing said the seeds, the essence of them. Like, so when I think that their higher technology advanced, obviously they were doing artificial insemination back then, but like whether it was the DNA of animals to keep creation going on, because there's something called the the MES, I think, and they're powerful tools to help teach science and mathematics. And in some of my readings, certain people who wanted more control in these lands over in Mesopotamia and Egypt and stuff, they would steal these so they could have power. But they're the MEs. And I remember one of the stories that they had to go back and retrieve the MEs to take them back so they weren't left on Earth. That's one of the stories. So whether they're divine tools, information, technology, I don't know what it is, and it has to do with all of that, the technology, the seeds of to make other hybrid, whatever you call it, hybrids or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it made it sound like it was a more local, like that they were trying to, it wasn't, like how
Enoch's family or Noah's family. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like with the animals and stuff, it wasn't like it was all of the animals coming from all ends of the earth to get on. It was like they were gathering as much as they could from around to serve, one, to sustain once the flood ended, to have like farm animals and that sort of thing too. Like there was, part of a survival aspect of it too. So, but yeah, that's the information I got. So it was interesting.
That's one of the theories. Is that what's coming up right now for us with the time of the shift? I've got people talking about, they have all different, like, once again, the whole theory is, and I try to, when I've heard a thing, there could be like a solar flash, but everything, is it everything? All these 5 or 6 different things all going to happen and make it like the solar flash, the energy wave, it's going to knock us out. Some are going to survive, some aren't. Is because of this pole shift, and is because of Nibiru, like, is all in one? Is this what's happening on Earth? But
that would make more sense than it just being one thing that, if it's all combined and all part of it. I mean, because I've heard the poles have been shifting for a long time, and I've heard that from people who aren't even like in the spiritual realm or anything like that. So I tend to believe that. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And the solar flares have been coming. I see those on totally unrelated source, just on like Google News and stuff like that. It's like, hey, we had another solar flash and this one might do this, or
something big is coming. It's going to flash, knocking our ass. And it sounds like this energetic thing is going to be, because it's going to knock out the veil that's around Earth, that's giving us what I would say is amnesia, as people would call it, where we don't remember our true essence, who we are. It's going to be gone, and we're going to know in an instant who we are, where we are from, and why. And we're going to understand our abilities. Like, we're going to know telepathy is going to be wide open. Our channels are going to be, there's going to be no secrets or hiding.
That'd be awesome.
The ideas I've heard, because if that's gone and the manifestation of the energy, whatever, and I keep hearing this, you cannot live in a negative thought can't exist in here, because it can't happen. It'll be gone. Like, you'll be gone. It can't exist in 5D. So it would be stuck and trapped in 3D, or just non-existence. I don't know.
That's what I always wonder, because I feel like some parts of me feel like it's not going to be like, there's still going to be like a kind of an awakening process to it, where there's going to be a little bit of what's going on here. I don't know, maybe a little bit of chaos involved in that, but I hope it's your way for sure. I hope that it's much more like, hey, we're divine beings. Let's all go make our garden now and chill out.
We're going to know the truth, but I think there's still building up of things. But once again, I believe we're going to have help. There's going to be divine guidance that they're going to ignore, like play whatever.
I'm really curious with this, what we channeled last time, and how they are saying that we're getting closer to seeing them, and interacting with them. I mean, I know we already are and are on our level, but where more people are, there's no doubt that, that this is real.
That's, I think, what he's making me think too, like, whatever was going on Earth, when I remember thinking of what the story of Enki, when the humans weren't told what's going on. But we're for some reason we're all learning about, we're studying our history, we're figuring it out. Could this be happening again? It's like they cannot keep it secret anymore. And for me, that comes back to this line, this line completely, is that things will be happening when information can be passed around the world in an instant, is when the change is going to happen. And look at information, the internet now. I remember being like a teenager hearing this, or even young 20s, like, how in the hell is information going to be passed around the world in an instant? But I should have known. When I was 13, I wrote a story about, we had to incorporate like Graham Bell and all our Thomas Edison and blah 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 into our stories. And when I was 13, I wrote a story that we had our TV screens and we could talk to it was a communication device. It was like a video screen. I was writing about that when I was 13 years old. It was like I was channeling that story. I must have been. Because in the story, I think I got mad and I threw something at it, and then it broke. I had to call a TV repair guy in to fix it or whatever. But it's like I was channeling that stuff as a teenager, and it's continuously being channeled. Once again, we know in the divine times of, is it Apollo, or they used to go to Delphi, or what's it, something of Delphi,
The Oracle.
I think like they used to have oracles that they would bring in, and to bring in this divine energy and information from people. They would rely on it. They would think that it might help them in wars or this or that and the other, and they would listen to them. So, but some things always didn't work out for them. I remember hearing that. Maybe some did, but not all.
Well, that's another thing is, I think I told you that philosopher that came to me the one time when I was in meditation, that Sophocles, I'd never even heard of him. And I got the message from him that a lot of philosophers and stuff were channeling back then, but it was not, widespread, that they, obviously it's been hidden throughout time if they were, and that a lot more people were in tap, and that's where they were getting a lot of the information and stuff. So.
And yeah, some of it was good, some didn't work out. What's Napoleon? He's either the great one who's channeled predictions, right? Is it Napoleon? Is he the big one?
Are you thinking of Nostradamus?
Nostradamus, sorry. Yes, Nostradamus. That's right. Yeah.
Napoleon was the conqueror.
That's right. Maybe Napoleon.
Nostradamus, I'm curious. Yeah, and I'm curious with those too, because with those predictions, they're so vague, and it's like you could attribute so many. I mean, you could go to 9/11 and be like, all right, he predicted that in this one and this one and this one, and just, if you want to reach far enough in any prediction, you could get whatever you wanted out of it almost. That's where I wonder, and I'm sure most of it is true though. I mean, you could, that being said, that also does make it true in the same sense. So it's like
I'm gonna have to look up his stuff. It's been a while. Like Greg Brady talks about Nostradamus and stuff coming up. I haven't looked at this. I looked at his stuff years ago, but it's been a while. I got to see
it's just stuff that's like a great fire in the sky, and it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? I could attribute 10,000 different things to that, right? You could say that there's meteors, you could say there's nuclear war, you could say the sun. I mean, how many different things are a great fire in the sky?
I know with Napoleon predictions on China, that comes up right away. I even just say for COVID, I wonder, like, there's other predictions, there's so many other things.
Well, there's that one lady who they say she predicted COVID. She said the chest thing, and that it was going to disappear as fast as it comes. And you're starting to see that already. The narrative seems to be shifting quickly away from COVID. And now everybody's worried about Joe Rogan and what he does.
Okay, this is just one thing. Nostradamus wrote in the year 1551 this: there will be a twin year, 20, then they put 2020 in brackets, from which will arise a queen, and they put Corona in brackets, who will come from the east, and they put China in brackets, who will spread a plague, and they put virus in brackets. In darkness of night, on a country with 7 hills, Italy's in brackets, and will transform the twilight of men into dust, death, to destroy and ruin the world. It will be the end of the world economy as you know it. But our economy has shifted and changed hugely. But
that could have been attributed to, what I mean? You could kind of, that's what I mean. It's vague enough where you could interpret it however you want.
In many of his predictions. Yeah. but even after even at nearly after 5 centuries, humans still find themselves turning to his writings in times of woe, probably because of what he did get right. Whoa. Oh, they said that he referred Hitler as Hister.
Maybe.
The sky will burn at 45 degrees. The first fire approaching the great new city. Huge scattered flame leaps up. Wow, yes, it's so interesting.
So vague that you could attribute 10,000 different events and say, oh, that's what he was predicting. And it's like,
I know if they do, look, if they a twin year, well, 2020 is it? No, well, when did it? No, 2019 is when COVID came, right? Or was it more?
well, when it got to America, I think it was, well, March 13th is whenever, March 13th, 2020 is whenever we shut down.
Oh,
It was
that's
Friday the
right.
13th.
That's right. It was the end of 2019 that it's likely started.
That's when all the
Ah,
hysteria and all the videos of everybody falling out in the street in China. And then it was like, okay, that's kind of concerning. And then it's like, oh, but it's not that at all.
I know, like that's one thing is I never could believe or trust the media what you saw because so many other videos can be made and showed over and over again. It's like, when was that really
Coming
recorded?
from China, it's like, man, they're
There's,
just,
there's people you see in videos and they've got like they don't have IV fluids running when you think they would if they were that sick. And you see the opposite of what should be.
they have mannequins in the videos. Like it's
Yeah,
ridiculous. It was all, I mean, if you pay attention, it was super obvious from the beginning, but most people don't pay attention. So
I know. And once again, there's these, and totally controversy topic is the what are they called when the Boston Marathon happened. There's other things that
yeah.
what are they called
That's what started my whole ascension or my whole process was the Boston Marathon.
because
That's
they're
what,
trauma actors. No, was it the word trauma actors? Is that what they're
yeah,
called?
crisis actors.
Crisis actors, yeah. And it's very well true because the movie with Dustin Hoffman blows everything out of the water how they created a war and recorded it in a movie. So it's like it's
Oh yeah, it's insane. But that was the thing that kind of sparked my whole awakening process was that Boston Marathon. I was like, this it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense here. None of it adds up. The way the whole rolling tanks down alleyways and people's houses, pointing guns at people over this supposed kid, like none of it made sense. It just none of it. And that led to my whole going down the rabbit hole on the conspiracy journey and
something else is
led me
coming.
over to the spiritual side.
Yeah, I have to be very grateful for my first spiritual teacher, Angela DeHaas, because when things were coming up in meditation and healing, and then other things about otherly worldly beings and ETs and aliens, it's like I remember having a conversation with her. Is this really going on? And like, because it was always coming up, and I was bringing stuff through. It's like, what's going on? And then I remember saying one day we chatted late, we stayed late, opening up and chatting about it because my ex-father-in-law was speaking of this stuff too, and she goes, yes, this is happening. She goes, my son's actually kind of opening up and awakening up to this information, but I'm asking him not to don't dwell on the negativity of it all, because we need to raise our vibrations and know that we only want to stay in the light, because it's this whole people don't get what we're talking about. We're manifesting, so we want to stay open in the light. And this whole thing about magic that you talked about, I want to go back to this quickly, then I'll do a channeling. But what I've learned from my new friend Cynthia Landriel, I'm trying to see if I'm getting your last name right. The incantations of spells and words and herbs is how, once again, we grew up spelling words. And what do spells do? The power and incantations of the words and the belief and casting your intention on something is huge.
Yeah.
And people like, that's what if I can share anything with anybody, is like, pay attention to that fact itself. What you say is what you're going to manifest. So start writing down everything you want in your life and don't focus on what you don't want, because
Doesn't it make sense now why they say you have to write down your goals and like those different things that you learned when you were younger? And it's like, well, why did I have to write them down? Now it's starting to be like, oh, because they're spells. You're literally casting spells, and and it sounds kind of silly, to the layperson who thinks, that it's all this fantasy magic and that sort of thing, but not understanding science was magic at one point in time, right? Science is just magic explained. So it's like, if you understand that and understand, that we're probably this much tapped into our potential, that, there's a lot more out there, and I want to know how far it
Me
goes.
too. And is and physics, like and anything that comes up in physics and the slit experiment with the dots, the lights
Oh
going through,
yeah,
and
that's
how
fascinating. Yeah.
when they would do things when they were being observed, they would react differently than when
Yeah.
they were not being observed. It's like, whoa. So they
Yeah.
like, it's like energy, the atoms, the photons, like all consciousness within it all. It's and it's the and once again, it's the web that flows of the in and out of the particle, the waveform, the
You
particle.
just stated how we change the whole world. Things behave differently when they're observed than when they aren't being observed. Stop observing the mainstream media, the government, stop paying attention, and then they will behave differently because we're not giving our attention to them.
You got it. That's it. Yes. I just loved how I said that. And you got that. That's our message of the day. Now, don't forget that one. We have to write that down and post that one out because my pen's dying. Hang on, let me see if I can write that one down. I got to take a note. It's particles are changed when they are observed. They change. That's so friggin' cool. And people think our bodies are like that, but we don't.
I feel like the one thing, my buddy and I, we've been meeting every weekend, kind of trying to reverse engineer from where we want, what Earth is going to be and how we get to there. So that sort of keeps coming up is, I don't think it's, us fighting the system and saying, hey, we're here to change it and we want you to do, like, it's like, all right, we're done with you guys. We're going to go do our thing over here and you do whatever you want. Don't bother us.
We're going to do it.
I think that's more, it's just, we're not giving them any more attention. No more fuel on the fire, no more anything. We act like they don't exist, and then we go do our own thing and just ignore them
And that's the
until they
whole
make it a problem.
the
And
word. That's the words we need to create our own earth. Or we have to need to create the new earth together. That's the words that I've heard over and over again. We need to create this new earth together. Yep.
yeah, and I think that's going to be the key. It's stop acknowledging these people as if they have any power over us, because the only power they have over us is the power that we give them. Now, I get the part that is tricky is, and I don't know how it is in Canada, but I'm assuming it's the same. When we get a paycheck here in the United States, our taxes are automatically deducted.
Yep.
So
Oh yeah.
stopping paying taxes is kind of a tricky thing as of this point.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out how to get around that part, but
Well, that's the thing. I've got a friend who's talking to someone about, and she's a Canadian African American. What do you call it? Whatever, Canadian African.
Just black, if we're just being real here.
Yes, that's right. I get it right. And she said she knows someone who signed papers to be a sovereign being, and she's looking into it now. And apparently, like, Trump's done it, and this and that and the other, and they're all they don't pay taxes, they can travel, whatever. It's like, this is what because we're not meant to. It's illegal to pay taxes, so we should be paying taxes. We're all, was it you said we all, once we're born, our birth certificate means we're worth a certain amount of money to the government, an asset to the
I didn't
government.
say that, but I do know that to be true. So
Okay, someone said that. Okay, yeah.
the way our names are printed in all capitals makes us a corporation, and there's a bunch of, and I have no idea if that's actually true or not, but I've heard all of those same sentiments. So I would assume that there's something to it, other than, there's got to be, like, even with stereotypes and everything else, like, they come from somewhere. These rumors and stuff start somewhere, so there's probably some inkling of truth, if not all truth, within it.
Yeah, you're so right. So what shall we set our intention on now for I think everything but we talked about. Let's just see.
I know, I was asking my wife before I started, I'm like, we any questions that we want to ask? And I'm like, I can't even think of anything. I'm so much like, I'm just so in the moment now.
I know.
I don't even like think about what's going on. Like, I'm so, hey, whatever they want to tell us, I'm open. I mean, my same question's always per side of, how do I do more, help more, or whatever, but they kind of, because there's certain times where I feel like things are going, and then there's other times where I'm like, what do I do with myself? Like, I'm getting bored here. So, and I know wintertime plays I don't know, I'm sure it's the same for you guys, but we're all just, like, snow everywhere. So it's like, it just kind of getting cabin fever at this point. You can only watch so many movies and work on music for so long before it's like I just want to go do something. I don't know.
I know it's the snow keeps me in more than I would like. It's this year. It's like it just we're right in the midst of winter, like minus it was like 25, 30, but it's warmed up more this week a bit. So when I see the sun, I can if I have to go out to the store, whatever, it's a little more enjoyable. Like you can
Yeah.
bear it, but other days it's like
So you can see it's
oh,
coming through today. So, but it's like 5 inches of snow outside.
I
At
know.
least it's sunny. But yeah, that's what my, and it's weird because I don't know, when I started channeling, like I have always been super hot blooded. Like I'm always hot. As soon as I started channeling, I have been getting cold, like, and I'm starting to experience that side of the world that I don't know. My wife's always cold, and I'm just like, I'm checking the thermostat. If it says 70, normally I'm sweating, and I've been checking it and I'm shivering, and I'm like, it says 70 in here. Like, how is this possible? So I don't know what's
I
going
know
on.
temperatures will do shift with our energy, I believe.
Yeah.
When I'm working at the Palladian circles, I get colder, but sometimes I do channeling, I get hot here. I'm sitting in my chair. Mind you, as I get older though, like whether like it's just as well when I go with the blood circulation being more active, I will for me, I the more active I am, I will sweat like higher heat.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I
sitting
notice when
down,
I fast too, I get really cold. And then when I
I
eat, I usually feel better. But I was doing like a 4 day fast the other day. So
oh my God, that's awesome. How was it?
it was awesome.
Did you do juicing or water or what did you do?
Just water.
And you did great. Did you have like irritable headaches or anything detox symptoms?
This isn't my first, I've done a 5 day fast in the past. I've done a few 3 days. I've done a lot of, my normal day is at least 18 hours usually. And then a lot of days I only eat once a day. So it's like 24-hour fast in between. But so I'm not like, when I first started, it was a little bit more difficult, but now it's just once you reset, especially once I hit the 5 days a while ago, that really reset a lot, especially like we're just so programmed in the way we eat and how many times we're supposed to eat and how often we're supposed to, like all of that stuff. We're just so programmed, and our body just has these like impulse responses that, all right, you usually eat at this time, go eat something. And it's like, but you don't need to.
I know
Like,
some phrases are that's a sign of thirst as well. And we
yeah, I
know
was going to
drink a lot
say
of
that's,
water.
it's
We
a
should be drinking
confusion of,
3 liters of water a day.
yeah. And people don't get nearly enough water. But once you hit, um, you know, once I would do, I mean, the 5 day fast was, that one was, I mean, they can be challenging for sure, especially when everybody else is eating. The worst is when
Yeah.
you smell food, like
Yes.
when they're cooking, like they had pizza the other night, and I was like, oh, you guys, like, yeah, but just it's a mental challenge, but you can feel, especially once you hit like day 3, and you really can feel like the autophagy, where all your cells are like rejuvenating and eating all the bad stuff and the dead stuff, and you just feel like you're humming, and your skin starts to feel softer, and you kind of glow a little bit, and it starts to feel really nice. And I've heard, I was watching some videos about, like what happens during the stages or whatever, once you hit certain checkpoints. And I didn't make it to the 144 hours, but they said after 144 hours, your immune system is completely rebuilt, renewed.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to follow that one then because you're inspiring me, Joe, because I've thought about doing like a juice fast or also
Juice fast isn't the same.
eating
So there,
veggies.
you're not going to get the same, you're not going to get the autophagy. And some of the other, like water fast is, like you can drink black coffee still and tea, anything that doesn't have calories, but you can't, if you do juicing, it's not the same.
Oh
You're not going to get
really?
the same
Okay.
benefits. Yeah. Like that juicing is good for you, but you're not going to get, so the autophagy happens when you're doing
What's
the very,
autophagy? I'm looking that up now. What's autophagy mean?
so autophagy is
Clearing of damage.
self-eating. Yeah, so it basically, that's how you cure cancer right there, if you have cancerous cells. So my personal, I'm not a medical doctor, but from what I understand, cancer is a natural process that happens within the body. Our cells grow a little bit out of control, or they don't, the grow doesn't cell, or the cell doesn't grow entirely properly, so it may be a little bit damaged or off or whatever. And then when this process starts to get out of control is when we get the deadly cancers or whatever. And that can be by foods and other processes, other things that
And sugar,
start,
like I
yeah,
keep hearing
sugar is a huge one. um these vaccines,
yeah.
some of the other stuff. But so I think another thing that's interesting too, and I'll stay with me here, you're obviously familiar with the placebo effect, I'm sure. So think about this. Why do they put such an emphasis on early cancer detection? If cancer is a natural process that happens in the body, but then you know about it, and then you perseverate on it, and then you create it and it grows because you're
Oh,
subconscious.
yes.
So you detect something that's a normal process in the body early. Now you made it into something more with your mind and that knowledge. So, anyways, kind of getting on to off topic there, but
I know that takes us to Louise Hay's work as well, like energy in the body and what can build up and with our emotions and stuff.
right. So that autophagy phase basically clears all that out. It eats that stuff. And any cell that's not perfect, it eats it and makes a new perfect cell. Essentially, it's like the body's cleaning up process and goes through. And the more days that you do that, I don't know if there's a like a peak day, or I know there's like a where it peaks as far as like the maximum. So if it's going out this way and then it's going to level off and it's going to continue, if that makes sense. So I
Yes.
don't know if there's like a max day where everything is, you're not getting any more, if it's just kind of diminishing returns. I don't know how that works or not, but the furthest I've made it is 5 days so far, just water. So,
Okay, so it says yeah, 144 hours is 6 days. So
yeah, I didn't make it that far.
there's another fellow out there, and actually I would like to have on my Facebook Live Benji too, is the Shane Sterling. He actually is a raw food activist, and he does juice cleansing as juice fasting as well to help clear out your whole intestines and to clear out what he calls a mucal plaque, whatever. But
Yeah,
he
yeah.
inspires me because like not this summer, the summer before I did, it was going to be a 10-day detox and just eating vegetables and fruits for like and protein drinks for like 10 days, but I am doing it for 21 days, just eating vegetables. And I got out all the sugar and wheat and dairy out of my diet as well, completely, which I'd done before. And I remember my daughter saying, "Oh, yeah, you're going through withdrawal. You're like going crazy, mother." Like she could see the energy, like my emotional shifts. But as soon as like after 21 days of just eating really well, I felt much lighter. My body did.
Oh yeah.
So if I only stayed with it, just how much more like benefit of health. And I know I have to get back and do something like this again.
Well, and the other thing that, I mean, there's so many benefits to it. I mean, you just feel so much better, especially,
Yep.
every time you get hungry, just drink water until you're not hungry. That's basically the best advice I can give you, because it kind of, I mean, you're hydrating and you're kind of getting rid of those hunger pangs. But yeah, you just kind of feel like you're like you said, vibrating. And then the other parts of it is, we don't realize how much like gas and stuff gets stored in our intestines, and how much your stomach will just naturally go down just from having all that stuff cleared out and having a chance to kind of reset entirely. And
Well, gas, I
um
believe gas is energy, like burping and is energy moving
yeah.
in both ways.
Yeah. And like, so there's just a lot of things that you'll just notice how much better you feel. And like, I was surprised, I did yoga every day when I was doing it. I had energy every day. The last day, the reason why I decided to eat and like and not continue on, I was starting to feel like I was kind of in between two worlds. Like I was getting a little bit spacey, where I was like, I think I'm a little bit too in touch with, like when you don't ground yourself enough, for like I was starting to feel a little bit out of, and I was driving and I was like, all right, I'm not feeling super safe here. So I need to eat something and kind of ground myself a little bit here. So that was kind of what I
Start with
stopped.
light food, like vegetables and light food to gradually bring back into your
I
system.
ate like a couple pieces of fruit just to kind of come back, and that always, because they say after, I want to say it's 72 hours, or I don't know the exact time, but at some point your stomach stops producing like bile and stuff like that. So you kind of have to restart your organs and stuff. So they say to do it with something a little lighter. I just did it a few hours before I ate a regular meal, and I felt fine.
So I might attempt like a short one, just I'm still want to get a good juicer. I want to do attempt it where I want to
A
just cleanse
24-hour
myself,
fast is easy. I mean, you just eat, and like the
drink
thing that I
water.
like about fasting is I like to eat big meals. So I can eat one big meal a day. I can eat as much as I want, stuff myself. And it's kind of that, because they say that the, the fasting part is important, but there's the feasting part's important too, so that your body realizes that it's not in famine mode.
Yeah.
not to hold on to stuff, so that it's actually processing and going into ketosis, where it's using your fat as a fuel source and that sort of thing. Because if your body thinks it's in a famine mode, then it's not going to process, it's going to hold on to as much as it can for as long as it can, because it thinks that it's not getting any meals. So when you feast after fast, then it knows, okay, we're doing this on purpose, type of thing. Like it's not.
And I'm always hungry. Like I eat and then like 2 hours later, I'm hungry again. Like that's always been my metabolism, feeling that way.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to do when I did a metabolic diet a couple years ago. The idea was try to stretch it out 5 hours between meals. I found that a little harder, but I gotta try this. Whether like
This will reprogram your whole hunger system. That's what I like. So 72 hours, I think, is about the time that happens, when you really, but doing what I would suggest to you is do a 24-hour fast, eat a big meal, whether, if you like breakfast, eat a big breakfast and then don't eat till breakfast the next day at the same time, or eat a big dinner and do, so it's like you're still eating once a day, but it's 24 hours in between. So you're not totally like, I haven't eaten all day type of thing, where you have something to look forward to, at dinner time, whatever. So it's a little bit easier to get 24 hours in doing it that way than when you kind of, well, I guess it's more than 24 hours if you don't do it that way. So yeah, that's the easiest way. Some people will do it where they don't eat where they'll eat like Sunday night and then not eat again until Tuesday, and call that a 24-hour fast. And it's like, it's a little bit more, but so try eating, Monday morning or Monday night and then Tuesday night, so you get that 24 hours in between. It's a little easier to do it that way to start out. Then you can add, the one of the best feelings though, and it's hard, especially when you're first starting, but when you don't eat the full day, the full 24 hours, and then you go to bed, when you wake up that next day, and especially when you go look in the mirror, you're gonna be like, oh man, I look way better than I did yesterday. You just like, because it's that, it's just that has that overnight to kind of clear out, and it starts to do that ketosis process and eating some of that fat away and tightening up the skin.
I've got to do something like that. I recently been just out of the blue blood work was done, and slightly elevated liver enzymes, and then so my doctor said have an ultrasound done. It shows a little bit of a fatty liver. It's like, what? I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat fat, greasy meals. But apparently maybe I make egg. I like eggs. Maybe I don't know, but so it makes me really. I've got to do something more now, because something I wouldn't have expected at all.
My plan now from now on is I'm going to do at least one 72-hour fast every month.
And you're inspiring me. And then that makes it doable. Like start small, and then if I want to go, I know there's a time I want to go big, but I'm going to wait till the summertime. It's too cold. I'm gonna I want to just do a big one in the summertime.
Well, what did me, I wasn't really planning on doing, but we ended up just having pasta like 5 nights out of like 8 nights or something, and it was just like I felt so sticky and everything. I was just like, I gotta just not eat for a few days and like kind of reset, and then I felt so much better when I did, and I'm glad. I was trying to get to 5, and then I was like, man, I wonder if I could push it to 6, but I ended up at 4 days. I was like, all right, I haven't stopped thinking about food all day. I had to take a nap. Like I'm just.
But we need to take naps and rest as our body's getting through this especially the first period.
Well, I was napping because I was trying to pass time.
I know.
I was like, how long can I sleep till I can eat again?
Yeah, I know. It definitely setting intentions to get through it with plans in place.
Yeah.
And
once I get to that point, I'm like, all right, I'm just like torturing myself. Where I'm not I've gotten to the point where I'm going to get basically the maximum benefit. My immune system isn't compromised where I need a complete rebuild. My immune system's already really strong, so I always felt like I was like just kind of. All right, I'm trying to force myself to do something where I'm not getting much more out of this than.
Well, I'm motivated. I want to try as long as I can. The idea of just changing my cells over and cleansing myself out to become lighter. Like once again, it was the 21 days I did that vegetables, like to come back and if I would, my goal is to try to just be vegetarian. I would like to. I eat less and less meat anyways. But it's having the space in my mind saying, okay, stay committed, because it is a lot of work to prepare.
Well, be careful with vegetarian too, because that whole plant-based mess that they're trying to sell people now, that stuff is worse for you than meat is. So
well, no, I can't eat fake. I can't eat.
No, I know, but some
burgers.
people
They're
with the
disgusting.
yeah.
No.
That
Mine,
plant-based movement and processed crap is all just as bad
not to eat
or
processed,
worse.
but to eat real food, real life.
Yeah, the raw. Yeah, I know.
Our veggies are alive. Our fruits are alive.
I was watching
And
this
nuts and
show.
seeds that are healthy.
they went to Costa Rica, and they had like a little commune down there or whatever, and they were just going by and they'd pick a fruit out of the tree and just eat it. And I was like, oh man, that would be awesome to have that sort of, where you could just have all of your food growing around you at
I
all times.
know
That's as fresh as it gets right there.
that's the idea I would love to move into. And even what's idea of what's coming in our future, we're going to be living in communities that we're going to be self-sustaining and growing this stuff. So I keep all my mind in that direction, focusing on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do this because
let's
I'm
do
running
this.
out of time here. So
Yes, let's get a nice channeling in. We ended up talking more than we said we're going to keep this to an hour. It didn't
I
happen.
know,
That's
right?
okay.
That's how it always goes.
Let's
That's
go.
okay.
Yes, we'll get at least a 50-minute channel. Let's see what comes through.
Okay.
I'm just gonna just get a little bit of then I'll just use my, I'm just gonna quickly use my music with just musical rapture right now. It'll do for now. The other music is there somewhere. So I get rid of the commercial. Let's see what comes through. And feel free, if something comes, ask. And I know the being's going to know that we're asking for what we need to know for our greatest and highest good, and things that we need to may need to consider, pay attention to as things are coming up to us this next week and moving forward in the next month or so. So we'll kind of, let's see what comes through with that.
Yeah.
Okay. We are recording, right? Double checking. So specialists, I want this part.
What's that?
Yeah, we are recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to, and let's start taking some nice big deep breaths together here. I'm going to start, you know what? This is what I've been doing all week anyways with my work, is right here. Start with some deep breathing just to get us open. And then I'm going to even do my little cleansing prayer, which is, should be right here in front of me. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's not where it's supposed to be. Okay, it's moved. There we go. Okay, so we're going to take some nice big deep breaths. We'll open up our arms and our legs, breathing in for the count of 4, holding that for 4, and then breathing out for the count of 8. And now imagine breathing in white light into our nose and into our lungs. And as we exhale out, we imagine blowing out all the stress and negativity. Let our shoulders fall away. And once again, breathing in white light, filling all our cells within our body. And exhaling out all the stress and negativity. And letting the shoulders fall. And once again, breathing in white light. Blowing out any stress. I'm going to do my cleansing prayer. Bring in all the positivity. I am now choosing to cleanse myself and release any and all thought forms, beings, situations, and energies that are no longer of service to my highest and greatest good, across all planes of my existence, across all universes, and across all lifetimes. I ask that all energies that are less than love be transmuted for the highest good of all, and so it is. Okay. And then now in the knowing we are here, we bring forth the new and the next revolutionary processes and beings and situations. And a lot of the thought forms that you have been relying upon at this time on your world. Yes, some systems are coming crashing down, and you are bringing forth many new possibilities in shining and sharing these out to humanity, so they all too can pick and choose some new vibrational frequencies and belief systems that they are holding on to and may wish to relinquish and let go of at this time. Bringing forth these new evolutionary pathways is the next step of growth. And this factor is rising and receiving great acknowledgement and a great comeback on your world, where you're receiving a comeback, where you've gone through these shifts in the 60s and the 70s, revolutionary processes that you've awoken up to within humanity. And these signposts and flags are being waved in front of you once again, for you are in this generational pathway again. And it's on the rise of this evolutionary and revolutionary process. Going back even further in back to the days throughout your civilizations, throughout the time of Christ's white light, another revolutionary process going on, raising the consciousness on planet Earth. For these revolutions have gone on forever and for the ages, going back into our past, even to the treasure troves of people searching for these treasure maps and discovering that there's an ancient technique and teaching behind all these treasures that are being uncovered and unsurfaced at this time. For these ancient teachings are resurfacing, and these fine artists and teachers of the mystical ways are rising again and being shone out across the lands, for they have existed throughout the lands and are coming to the surface once again. So if you find yourself looking and searching for new teachers, you know you won't have very far to find one. And for these fellow channelers and light workers are popping up all over the world across the land and bringing forth information that can be relied upon to bring your next stepping stones in front of you now where you wish to go. And the deliverance of these messages are coming out and guiding you down your pathways now. They are being of great service to the many now on your world. And yes, many in our past have brought through these channeling messages through the oracles and beings and channelers of Nostradamus, as you spoke of before. For yes, we have brought forth much information to be received across your world at this time. Even back in the pharaohs, they would look for these oracles and depend and rely on the information coming through to bring forth acknowledgement. And how can we bring forth betterment into society with all these changes going on within the government and within the changing systems on your world? For this has been happening for generations and millennia and hundreds and thousands of years, bringing forth this evolutionary shift of information coming through. And we are very glad to see this message is coming through now with once again, more channeling across your lands and these nations at this time. Please stand up and take note that you are being guided onto your next pathway, and you're being given information, broadcasted out slowly but surely. As you slowly raise your vibration, you will be receiving answers that will help you bring forth the next supplies and equipment that you will need to take care of your own self and your family and the community and your world at this time. The tools and the fine-toothing of these mechanical things being built now and engineered are coming up into the minds of many engineers, and will be being broadcasted out as such to start building these pieces of equipment and technology to start your farmlands, to start your growth factor of building these communities to help each and every one of you. Crystals and diamond houses will be formed and made that will bring forth new healing pathways for you all now. The people will be lining up to receive these type of healings and know that this will change the path codes and the DNA codes within their bodies to allow and accept the energetic pathways coming in and the new light codes coming into your DNA. The shifts are coming, and the allowance of these shifts is being asked right now. Yes, the diet and food shifts will help you raise your vibrations quicker, and these crystals and stones will help build a pathway of generations around you, with the magnetic field expanding out to bring more longevity and healing within your body. So much more teaching will come out now about that, which you will all learn more about to raise your vibration, and intense healing will occur quickly, more so than ever before on your world. The other techniques that will be learned are being passed down by other beings of light, which we use in our worlds. And we want you to bestow this information on it deep into your heart and souls to be passed on to your children and the next generations, for they will truly need all these light code healing mechanisms and apparatuses that are to be built at this time. The generational pathways of strife will still rise up in numbers, and the healings will have to come into atonement even more as you get older in your lives and bring forth these evolutionary pathways and changing now. The engines being set in motion now are bringing forth higher engineered ships and maneuver and movement where you'll be able to travel and extend your energy beings out into the cosmos even further. And know that this is coming soon, and these are being built now, and you will bear witness to these in your lifetime now, my dear ones. So hold on tight, for these energetic codes are coming in for new ones to build these, and the engineers to set forth the equipment tools and metals and such to bring forth these mechanisms of such things. And the water pools of healing will arise even further on your world, where you'll be able to sit in these energetic stone healing pools and bring forth energetic changes now. So much is rising now to the surface and being learned and manufactured and taught now. Yes, it might seem like it is taking forever on your world to get these shifts, but within an instant, they will come out and you will snap your fingers and you will finally see these in your world in true existence and being used at this time. Yes, the Rife machines that you think of and have spoken of are healing apparatuses too, and they will be expanded on even further to allow healing. But yes, it would be a great idea to buy a Rife machine to have in your own home, to raise your own frequencies, and other ways are great healing tools to bring these technologies out into play in an easy and much more affordable way. You can all do this at your own house and without your own time and beings and store-bought equipment of this Rife machine. The Spooky 2 is the one that has been broadcasted out, and it is of high importance and importance that will bring forth changes within your family and life. So we do suggest that, and we remind you to continue drinking more water as you have been, to bring forth more cleansing and detoxification in your body. It is of the highest importance to continue doing that, to allow more light into your body, to get rid of the heaviness and the strife, to let it pass out through you completely, out of your physical body, and bring more light into your light body at this time. The evolutionary light codes coming in will bring more tiredness and fatigue feelings to you, but know that you will be lightening up very soon and expanding within the light. Your true telepathic manner and demeanor will come through more energetic light codes within the next week or two, and know that you will be lifted up even higher with those broadcasts of information coming through at that time, and allow others to follow your lead and teach and help them, to guide them on their next evolutionary pathway. For there's a lot of teaching going on now, and we ask you to bring forth your next stepping stones of writing out what you like to share, so it is in written form and easily accessible to send out and hand out to people, to help them learn and to be taught these new processes of things going on. That is of great importance now, to share and teach. So we ask you to step up and hold on to your wits now, for this is going to be a bumpy ride this week. So hang on and take note of what is happening now on your world, but keep moving forward with that full momentum now on your world, and these desires and the light will keep shining up on your doorsteps now. And we wish to extend out any notions, any questions to be brought upon at this time, my dear one.
Thank you so much for coming through with that information as usual. Well, I guess the first question that comes to my mind is, you said this week is going to be bumpy. Do you have any further elaboration on what to expect, or maybe in a general sense?
For the light posts have been set up upon your world now, for you have all set these up yourself in this lifetime and past lifetimes, and in your dreams and in your sleep. The hard work that has gone on is bringing forth these evolutionary changes. And as these light posts are set up, the pillars of light are being over flooded now with energetic energy just pouring out and radiating out. And there's going to be some zaps and zips and some electrical bolts going off, some electrical lights and thunder and lightning, as it would seem to feel like the bumpy ride on your world at this time. The lightning bolts will cast light on even more knowledge and open up to bring forth more energy and information to wake up the masses even quicker this week. And no one trusts that, as this pool is being unraveled right before your eyes now. There's much swirling to be going around, and some draining of some pools, to emptying the swamps of some things, and then refilled up in other areas where the knowledge and magic and light will be casted upon your world even more, where you will learn more about the manifesting and using of the magic and the spells. So each side of the scale are being weighed now. The emptying up and the filling up are both, you're relinquishing so many past pathways are being relinquished and let go of it and emptied now. And the other side is filling up beautifully and brightly now, but will cast more questions onto others. And they're going to need guidance in respect to the fact that they will want to know what's going on in the world, and they will need guidance and strength. And you, my dear one, will be able to pass that knowledge and guidance onto them with greater confidence and support that is required in these conversations, that is needed. The guidance, support, and the love and compassion to be passed along the way to help guide in the nice, correct form of love, where we will not startle and scare too many people, but you want to bring all our new information in with love and strength, and know that as a community and as humanity, you can rise above together and be that strength of one all together. And that is the hugest message to bring forth now, is you'll all be in this together and help out one another now.
So in this process of, I know we've kind of talked about the ascension before and ascending to the fifth dimensional earth. As far as this process, is there a defined timeline for when this shift is going to occur? Or is this a gradual shift that takes place over a long time? Or is there sort of a, where the light switch gets flipped on and there's going to be people here and then there's going to be people gone? Like, can you elaborate on that or give us any sort of timeline ideas on what we're looking at here?
For you're in that time zone now, my dear one, as we've explained before, is an evolutionary process. Within the snap of the finger, yes, a timestamp will be placed upon your world. A timestamp will be placed within this timeline, and the shift will be felt and maneuvered within an instant at one time or another. The light posts have been lit, and you're guiding you forward on that pathway now. The true North Star of camaraderie is shining out now throughout the platforms and shining down onto your world now, where something is coming closer and closer to your world. And this light being cast on that will bring forth the evolutionary pathway and changes. Within the snap of the finger, new revolutions will be made with that's of the ongoings on your world that are bringing forth the transformational process on planet Earth, within the uprising and reckoning of one sort of worlds to be diminished and rising up of a brand new world. Yes, it will be a brand new world coming upon. And after initial snap of the finger shift, it will be a process of rebuilding and renewal. And this is what the higher vibrational frequencies of being in 5D is all about. For this is what the future will bring forth, your new evolutionary pathways of the new knowing and knowledge moving into your future now. And that is what the light is bringing in now. These evolutionary pathways are preparing you for this light and transition and transmission of the transformation going on in your worlds now. And this is happening within a flash of light and within the healing energy vibrations of all the stones deep within Mother Earth will be emanating out this energy blast, and the crystals and stones will be speaking to you and such, and you will understand everything in an instant within this communication and energy manifestation of and magnitude of this magnetic shift and change on your world. It will be huge and felt abroad you all at this time. And the people playing music and the tones and singing will all apply calmness as this process is happening, for there is beings working on inner earth to bring upon the calmness of the beings of light that will help simmer the nerves of all the other humans on this planet at that time. There is an energetic nerve settling going on that will be broadcasted out within Mother Earth, the Gaia and Agartha, to help us all transition into this new form of light and life.
So the people, not trying to put myself or Melissa on any pedestal or anything like that, but those of us who are sort of more on the more enlightened phase of things right now, are we going to experience these energetic shifts in the same traumatic fashion, or are we going to be the ones to help smooth things over for those who aren't perhaps as where we are on our progression?
You will be rising up within your light and shining the light above for others to see. For there will be many questions and many teachings that will need to be going on. And as the energy shifts through you, you'll feel some smoothness and glidingness of this energy as you rise up and shine your light, as to be this energetic ascension puller, to be pulling the energies of others around you to bring forth even higher vibrational energies to keep guiding you forward for even more evolutionary pathways of this ascension process. For it feels like it's going to be in a few segments of time and space, and allow that to happen with the energy frequencies moving forward and rising over gradual. Generally, after a small period of time, after the quick shift, it will be small and gradual over time. So a bit of it all to come and happen as you are raising up with the smoothness and glidingness of attracting the light around you and bringing forth the fellowship of what it's like to be living in a higher vibrational frequency.
Well, um, So a lot of people that we have watched or have had different predictions of 3 days of darkness or 10 days of darkness or these solar flares that are going to come and wipe out, kind of all of our communication systems. Or do you have any information on that, or is this all stuff that could have happened and didn't happen, or are we still, or do you have any information on that?
The ages of the old has brought forth and forecasted such to happen on your world. The energetic timestamps precede the new energies that are shifting through your lands now. So we can say with some certainty that the rising of such standstill will bring forth the upshifts to bring forth the new pathways to lead yourself forward now.
So we essentially avoided that timeline based on being able to raise the vibration or the consciousness on Earth enough. Is that what you're saying?
For the energy timestamps have brought forth the new wishing well of knowledge and materialistic happenings on your world to be uplifted and the upheaval to be less affected by all, but still to be reached out to the masses, where it will be a smoother transition, but it will be a transition of such that the world will come to a standstill and be awoken and know what is happening to them at that time. The
I
whole
can't wait.
the broadcast will be of such where the truth of such will be revealed of your fine kinfolship and your kind folk of where you all came from, and the discoveries moving forward quickly now in your world will bring forth that even quicker in your timestamp now, is everyone is allowing this energy to become shifted through and open up, and the platforms of rising up will come forth even further, and the landings of Egypt and the mystical timestamps on the Sphinx and the pyramids will come forth with greater veracity of knowledge and strength and quickness to help you decipher what your world is all about quicker and where you wish to go. And the choice is all in part in each and every one's soul to make their choice of where they want to go and shift to for the next evolutionary pathway. They will all have a choice when this time comes. Each and every soul will choose, and know that you will be kindly taken care of and moving forward on the correct evolutionary stage you need to be on at this time.
So you said something in that triggered a question of mine. I'm curious. I'm sure you're familiar with the Q, and there was the Q from what I understand, and then there's the QAnon that are separate entities. But from what I understand, and I've channeled myself, is that the Q information is legit information that's coming from the white hats, so to speak, within the government in the United States, and the QAnon is it could be anything. They're the interpretations of those draw. Is this correct information, or do you have any further information about that?
The time zones that have been shown to you now have come from all different worlds, coming in with timestamps of what could be happening and coming through on your world. Some have been of higher vibrations, some have been of lower vibrations. So when you're sitting with this, we ask you to go into your heart and feel for the highest vibration. And once you can feel for that higher vibration, look for the visions of what's to occurring within the higher vibrations. Staying with those higher visions will bring forth a higher vibrational frequency that you need to listen to and pay attention to. Some of them are lower vibrations, and some are spreading of the knowledge that it might not be of the true nature of who you want to follow and be leading you in your world, of other beings, of some are beings of light and some are lower dimensional beings of the reptilians and such come through and have been casting some sort of shifting in error where we want to keep our vibrations high. So when we're searching out these answers, we ask you to raise your vibrations, and what's coming to you when you're in the higher vibrations is what we want to bring forth to you now, and to follow and to feel in your heart as you're moving forward through these changes now.
Makes sense. I get that. Another question I have, do you have any information on the 144,000?
The land and the people go across from the ages, crossing the desert, the storms. We've been in this system before for these pathways and generational shifts. Has happened before, and it always equals the same number every time, same number every time. So no one coming forth that with this pathway, it will be the same at that time, the same number coming through. So that means, yes, it is the same shift that experiencing on this lifetime, every time going through, it will be the same 144,000, the same. following through each time.
Interesting. And that's the number of souls that are going to make it through, or that's the number of souls that come to help with the process, or I'm not totally clear.
These are the 144,000 that come from one time zone to the next dimension and pass on to the next, where it is the flourishing of civilizations from that number. That is the number that goes through each and every time we shift.
Interesting. And how often do these shifts happen?
The number of the time zones of the 3600 do shine through brightly, but there has also been other cataclysmic shifts that have happened on your world that it has occurred and had to force the evolutionary pathways to quicken up or to slow down, and sometimes to bring forth that same number through and through each and every time, coming through bright and strongly with that number is what's moving forth with the manifestation of coming onto your world now.
Interesting. And this, are there, I know that there are a lot of truth in movies and stories and like that. Is there stories or books or movies perhaps that you could point us to that sort of tell a lot of truth within the universe? I know I've started to watch, we were talking about the Marvel movies and how it seems like there's a lot of underlying themes and hints and truth within those movies, talking about sort of the galactic progression, so to speak, or the progression of the universe, perhaps. Is there truth in that, or is there other things that we can look to discover more truth about where we are, who we came from, or should we just wait until the fifth dimension happens and we all get that information back?
For the telling of the ways has come through and been broadcasted in many ways, and the shifts have been occurring as more of the universal timelines have been broadcasted as in a way and such. The stories and the myths have all been brought through in your Hollywood movies and such, where the actions of these superheroes, as to say, have come from other influences from other dimensional beings within your cosmos and universes. And we have shown stories that have been channeled through the many channelers and writers and screenwriters for building up the shift of humanity has come through timelines where it has been channeled through to bring forth the character as of the Star Wars, the Star Treks, and the evolutionary of the Avengers, and of the stories of Thor and Ragnarok. This are all existence within your universal timelines that have existed in our past, and some are still coming to be explored in your future. So it is a very exciting time to be alive now, where all these evolutionary pathways are spreading open wide, and the tales are being told, and people are listening and waking up and understanding that you are not alone in the universe, and that the magic has been happening all along, all around you, and you're part of this great vastness of life and exploration within space and time, and out into the cosmos and universes and back again, deep into your heart. For yes, the consciousness rises all throughout these stories and learnings to move forward on this evolutionary pathways moving forward.
How does this shift affect you or your consciousness, or who you represent, or how does this affect you? Does it change anything for you, or are you just here to assist, or does this affect you as well?
Where we are following the guidelines and pathways put in front of us now. For yes, we are all part of this evolutionary shift, and we will feel this uplift and upheaval with you all. We are assisting you, and we are all moving forward in this together as well. And some of us will be guiding you further along your evolutionary pathway, forward motion, full steam ahead. And yes, we'll all be there moving together. And some of us will continue moving further ahead in our evolutionary path through the dimensions, quicker and quicker and quicker. For that is what it's all about now, the quickness of things and how quickly we move through this. And that is quickening for us all here at this time. And we're giving Melissa the energy feeling of what it feels like for things to be moving quicker and quicker through this evolutionary process. And you will experience this, and we will experience even more of this. And moving on is more windows and doors open for us. And we might be shifting even further along. And then we will reach a plateau in our evolution. And then once again, we will move forward in our future timelines with cycles shifting in our future again to higher dimensional frequencies.
So I'm assuming that you guys were listening into our conversation prior to this. And when I was giving the example of the souls with my hand and the creator sort of being the all encompassing and having all of the knowledge, but each soul only has sort of the knowledge of their experience and their perception. Is that accurate?
for the growth factor for each and every soul is on a different vibrationary level when you are doing these learning and teachings. For the learning and teaching of the creation of souls and the creation of life, the creation of rocks and trees, witnessing a world that you can practice and create on in learning the form of and the forces of creation is all part of your evolutionary pathway. You will all reach this level and get to know what it's like to be creation using the energy and life force of the cosmos, of the elementals that all exist, not just on your world, but on other worlds as well. And it is all in true existence all across the Milky Way and galaxy and in universes at this time.
Well, so what is preventing us from tapping into these powers, so to speak? Is it our DNA is not upgraded to the point that it needs to be? Is it our belief system? Is it a combination of those things? What is preventing us from tapping into this universal power or knowledge and some of these things?
Or you are passing through these time warps right now. You're reaching our levels. You are accessing the teleportation, the frequencies of healing, the frequencies of moving energy. For you're all reaching into this now as we speak. The study of this, if you did this every day and had the equipment to study this every day and practice this, you will become, as you would say, geniuses on your world for this experiencing. For the practice of practice in your time zone and timeline is what is necessary and required. For there are experiments and tests done all across the world and the land that have experienced and experimented and know this energy life force, and time again has been practiced and practiced and practiced, and it's known and learned and shared and spread within certain cultures the magnitude and the magic of all this happening and going on. So the longer you sit and practice with it, the more you will manifest the true fineness of these skills. So keep practicing every day, and this will bring into your atmosphere and into your daily lives what it's all about to allow these practices to unfold before you now.
I totally get that message, and I've gotten a similar message before. My question to follow up to that would be, do you have anything specific to practice that would help us, say, with telekinesis or being able to move things with our energy, or like, could I create a fireball in my hand? Are those possibilities? Like, is there, like, how far does it go, or what specifically should we practice to get to that level?
Intention on the light is the time force to be put through on these practices. Intention on the light and the practice and quieting the mind and allowing the energy to flow through you is the energy light force comes through you with this channeling and information. The energy will flow out in other aspects of the magnetic force that you spoke of earlier as well. It's all in magnetic of the waves and the forms of being pulled and pushed, and gravitational forces combined with it all. That is the light codes coming through you now for you to start practicing and learning these skills. Is the time and practice it needs to take to acquire.
Okay. So we have the ability, it's just the practice.
Yes, the energy codes are streamlining through you all since the day of your birth and creation.
Oh, wow. And do we understand these codes when we look at them, or is it more of a like a feeling and we just kind of absorb this information?
Well, your belief codes have been as such where you were grown up to believe that you are not handy manifestors of your on your own. It's all in the belief systems that change and shift your belief codes within your DNA. It's all within the energy and emotions within you. So you need to form new belief codes that will bring forth true manifestation of what you actually can manifest and accomplish in your life.
Interesting. And mantras and those sort of things help with those beliefs?
Yes, the magic of the word and of the spelling and the mindset and an intention all combining together will bring forth the evolutionary pathway and changes and forces created to create these energetic shifts and momentum awakening in your life, that you can all access this deep-seated intuition and deep-seated manifestation of magic and the life force flowing through you to expand and express out to be used to manifest in your own creation in your world now.
So some of us see images in our head, in our mind's eye. And sometimes to me, it's just kind of a screen in front of me. And at other times I've experienced where it's like a 3D immersion where I'm all encompassed in that image. Can you explain what is happening there? Is that sort of the future of where that goes, or how do we tap into that further? And sort of, I feel like I was much more immersed in that situation when I was able to do that, but it's not something I can do all the time. I don't know.
The opening in of the energies and the focus and the intention on bringing forth the information is the timestamp you need to be practicing now. The opening and expansion of taking the time to go in, the feeling and the knowing. In an instant, the information is coming through you, whether it's in a vision or a thought form or a feeling. It is all encompassed together, where it is all going further into your future now with expansion on these new belief codes that you need to believe in, that can carry forth the energy, frequency, vibrations of which you wish to intentionally create in your life.
Okay. So I think we're getting towards the end here, but I do have a couple more. Do you have any, I don't know, we asked this last time, but I know things are changing quickly, but as far as for Melissa and I specifically, or light workers in general, maybe, is there anything more that we could be doing at this point to help? Is there something that we could be shifting our focus towards or doing that is going to help the people through this process? As you said, it's going to start getting a little bumpy here. Is there some way to make ourselves more visible or to be able to reach more people, or are we doing exactly what we're supposed to do at this point in time?
Yes, my dear one, be of service to the ones who are reaching out to you now. The ones that are placed in front of you, your pathway, are the ones that you need to continue to reach out to and be of service to. For you're being brought the ones that will require and need your help to continue this opening and this evolutionary process you're on now. So keep accepting those phone calls, those requests, and of supplying information when it is asked that's needed at this time is the next evolutionary step, which we will continue expanding on, bringing out further knowledge and information. And being there of service is your highest and greatest gift for humanity at this time. And this is, my dear one, the most beautiful gift to be on this pathway and true purpose, living your life on planet Earth you call home now. For this is the extension of your soul and your spirit in this vast creation you're living on now. And yes, it is a cycle of times and changing times, and you're in the midst of these changing times now. So we ask you just to continue being of service, your neighbors, your friends, your family, your mothers and sisters, and your mothers and fathers, to continue passing on these light codes to help each and every one out at this time.
And is that the same advice as far as the healing? Is it going to just, people are going to find me when they need it, or should I be doing more to search out to help people? And I'm referring to the spiritual Reiki, whatever type of healing it is that I'm doing. Is that, should the same advice just allow people to find me, or should I be doing more to offer my services?
Or you can always offer your services out to be expressed in a form and communication to allow others to know that the pre-existence of this healing is here and it has been occurring for generations and millennia on your world. So this is key knowledge to continue sharing out, that these two forms of healing exist and are going on in your world. And this is part of offering the service out to others to let them know that this is in true existence and needed and required to be shared out along the ways of this beautiful shift you're in now, my dear ones. So continue shining your light and passing on these evolutionary changes and opening up your hand to behold out to the next one that's coming in your direction, for they're the next one that needs your help and your love.
Okay.
Continue.
So however many, few or many it is, that's what it's supposed to be, and don't worry about it.
Yes, we ask you to know and trust that you are being divinely guided, and the dear souls that are needing help are coming to your doorstep now, and you are shining their light, and they will be able to shine their own light with true leadership and momentum as the healing process is going through them all now and awakening up all of humanity at this time now. And with beautiful light and love now, we're shifting now with the energies, and we give great thanks for this kind knowledge to be shared across the way. So we'll go now with love and peace be with you all. And we are grateful for your time and compassion to sit here with one another now. As the patterns of light are shifting and changing, allow yourself to accept and receive these light codes coming in for further evolutionary changes on your pathway now. And with compassion, light, and love and peace now, we go now. Amen.
Thank you so much. Amen.
Whoa. Woo. Oh man.
That was a
Whew,
good one.
that was good. Yes, I gotta shake it. Ooh, I'm all high and buzzing and a bit dizzy right now. But
Yeah,
I'll be okay.
that was some good information. So that was so when you're doing it, I was curious, how much do you remember when you're chanting, or do you kind of feel like you're
Something came through and I started laughing because the answer was long. It was about something about the what's happening and shifting now. There was about, oh, I can't remember the question. And I remember myself started chuckling, hearing all the words coming out.
yeah,
So I have to go back and remember what I was saying, what I got that point. Like at that point, it was just a chuckle for me because it was like they're not giving a lot, they're giving some intel, but they're not giving it all up. And their words are guiding, but it's like that whole like 6 or 7 words, like one after another. It's like, are you just give us a freaking answer already? You're saying that now we're good.
I
But
know,
yeah, that made me laugh.
very
Um,
skirting around the answers, but sort
and
of
I was getting,
answering but not answering.
and I find, yeah, more and more lately, um, when I get right deeper, I'm getting a lot more visions and expansions of things of what's going on. It's funny because last time we did this, I remember that bit last week. I was saying I was in the ocean seeing the dolphins spinning around the vortex and the whales in the ocean and spinning and spinning. And I sent you something. It was a 10-minute channeling of someone else, and it talked about energy portals opening up in the water and the cracking of something in the crust under the water, and the way they talked about it made me think, didn't that came through with what I channeled last week. So that
Yeah,
made me think, okay, pay attention to something happening under the oceans, the plates under the oceans right now, the water vortex is something cracking and opening up. That's what made me think, okay, pay attention to that now, because that's something that I channeled through, and then it came through another channeling.
I wonder if that's what that Tonga was, a volcano that erupted underneath the water. Because I channeled that things aren't always what they seem about that. So
When was that?
it was a few weeks ago. But I'm
Is that
wondering if there's going to be more that same idea.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Which one? What day? Is there a date on that video that you did that one? I can watch that one.
Oh no, I just channeled it in my session. I haven't made any videos from that session yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but they
And then
talked about whenever that Tonga, I don't know, it was a while. I don't even quote me, it could have been months ago now. My idea of concept of time is totally off now. So maybe it was long ago, but
there's
it
other
was
things that come through, and let me know if this is what kind of feeling like of whether volcanoes are erupting or fault lines are cracking open and shifting and changing. That's
the same idea probably.
that's what I've heard on the more like negative side of things. So once again, in
Yeah.
one of the theories that could be happening, and that could be causing
Well, and I
getting
mean, you
some
wouldn't
floods.
report that vortexes were opening. You would obviously say that a volcano erupted. So, yeah, that makes sense that if something like that was happening, that
And things are
you would,
swirling around the ocean and changing.
yeah.
Yeah. So there
That's
are things we got to keep our eyes open to what's going on in the
yeah,
world, around the world.
awesome. Well, I have to run to the bathroom.
Yes, me too. That was fantastic. Thanks
Yeah,
again, Joe. And I'll
absolutely.
let
We'll do
this
it
one
again
out.
next week.
Sounds awesome. Have a great
All
week.
right.
We'll talk soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.